그냥 뭔가 유럽 가면 성공할 것 같아서 그 꼭 훈이 레인 오버 때문에 온 건 아니에요. 일단 팀 시작한 지 별로 안 되는데 호흡이 좀 잘 맞는 것 같고요. 그리고 스크림 성적도 지금 매우 좋은 것 같아요. 제가 유럽 최고 정글이 되도록 하겠습니다.
Welcome back to the European LCS. Setting up on stage behind us are G2 Esports and ROCCAT as they face off for the first time in 2016. Crepo was a little bit stressed out, so I had to bring some calm in on the other side of the caster desk for G2. And big words from Trick.
One day that'll really just wear out. But yeah, big words from Trick when talking about, expectations, that kind of thing. And then you look at exactly how these two teams performed. Actually pretty well yesterday. When you look at the younger lineups, definitely ones to look out for.
Definitely the case. Let's take a look at the entire roster. On the side of G2 Esports on the blue side, it is Kikis in the top lane, played that Tom Kench yesterday, Trick in the jungle, Perks in the mid lane, Emperor the AD carry, with Hybrid the support, and Youngbuck the coach behind them, formerly of the Copenhagen Wolves. And Trick and Perks, it was all about them yesterday. They showed up on their Graves and Ari respectively, really impacted the game and just did not give Elements any chance at all.
Oh, for sure. And when you look at exactly what a player like Perks is going to want from his jungler, from the rest of his team, he's like, okay, give me a carry and then bring some extra damage so I can just tidy everything up. And that's exactly what they did with the Graves, with the RE combination. I wouldn't be too surprised to see something very similar again. But man, there was so much damage that came out from the RE, the Graves. Yeah.
Miss or zoning?
We'll give it to him. I don't think we can tell 100%.
We should actually start a Twitter poll on that. Prediction, miss, or zoning. I think those are the three options.
Well, we'll get to that in a little bit. But on the red side of the rift today, it is the new lineup for ROCCAT, who yesterday were victorious. In the top lane, Freddy122, jungler is Airwax, Betsy in the mid lane, Sophia is AD carry, and Edward as that support. And they will be joined on stage by I'm So Fresh. So, a lot of new additions there to ROCCAT. As you said, I'm So Fresh back on stage as well. But, ROCCAT yesterday, a very surprising, but a pleasant surprising win when it comes to their victory over Vitality, who we just saw take out Fnatic earlier today. So it was an impressive macro game, was one of the real key factors. And that's what we thought ROCCAT kind of may have lacked. But they come together, the sum of their parts is actually good enough to take down a team like Vitality.
Especially considering how Sophia actually played that game on the Corki.
Yeah.
Oftentimes the tip of the spear, so to speak, leading the way, and everybody was following through. I was quite impressed with Airwax yesterday. He played Rek'Sai, if memory serves correctly, and had just a very good impact on the game. He seemed to be in the right place at the right time often, and he's going to need to do that again because Trick did that while in the enemy jungle yesterday. So pick some bans underway, and we've got some weird and wonderful ones, actually. Rek'Sai and Zac to deny Airwax, a Shen as well. So those blue side bans of Tom Kench and Kindred, both still available.
So keep in mind, the Zac we have seen in the jungle, like yesterday it was played by Freddy in the top lane. And they also had Taric in that game, so there was a lot of weird and wonderful picks in yesterday's series as well. Z-bans we've seen a lot, actually, and surprisingly on the red side, it's a very curious one because normally on red side you'd expect to have a mid lane counter pick, but Zed and Ari have been banned away. These are big name picks, and Tom Kench is let right through into the first pick. We know how much trouble Tom Kench caused yesterday when Kikis played it, and they've got the same kind of setup again today.
Everything was let through the pick and bans because Ryze and Kindred available, both locked in. This time for ROCCAT, so Freddy going to have the option to run that, or Betsy, who did pretty well on Ryze yesterday, actually. We'll see what he decides to run, but for G2, Graves is up as well, if they wanted to go for the same flavor of team composition yesterday.
It's possible. One other pick that I'm kind of expecting Perks at some point to bring back, and considering the amount of poke champions we've had come up, could potentially be Jace. It's not a champion that a lot of people are playing, but Perks in Challenger last summer spammed it with the Azir. Those were his two big champions. At this point, we see the Lee Sin has been locked in for Trick. So that's a fairly strong top lane setup here. Very unlikely to kill a Tom Kench. Now you've got a lot of damage coming from the jungle as well.
Yeah, and considering how good Trick was yesterday on the Graves, very excited to see his mechanical prowess and decision-making on Lee Sin. Perks is just playing with the crowd a little. We'll lock in the Lulu. Still somewhat of a flex, really. Tom could still go support.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. I'm more expecting now Lulu to go up to the top lane, Tom Kench to go support. While Perks has played a handful of games as Lulu, specifically when this lineup actually had Saphir on it, believe it or not, with Jeebus. They were playing Juggermore compositions, but that was well back into summer. So it is in Perks' champion pool. I don't expect it to be the case. I think they need Perks to be a carry here.
So, Perks on a carry. Where will they find it if they put Kikis on that Lulu? That's the question we'll find out as ROCCAT reveal 2 more picks. I'm expecting maybe a Lucian would be the safe AD carry at this point. Fits a lot of comps. Even though Corki is up, we'll see if ROCCAT agree. Betsy will be locking in that Alistair for Eddie, so he won't be on the fabulous Taric, much to Deficio's disappointment.
Yeah, unfortunately no Taric today. I think the other thing that they're looking at here is the ability to just have safe lanes here if this Lulu does stay in the mid lane. You know that Ryze can be flex, top could be mid. So you don't want to give Betsy too easy a lane matchup to counterpick here. So there is still a lot of options available. Does look like it will be the solo lane, Tahm Kench, and the Lulu here. So at this point, it's on Betsy. Does he try and pick something that can look to carry into a Lulu? Not going to do too much, if I'm honest. Lulu, one of the more safe mid laners overall in that kind of echelon with Orianna. So if Betsy does go for the Ryze, it is a champion he can look to scale up on.
Well, on the side of G2, they are all in on Emperor. Outside of some damage from Trick and Perks, this is really about enabling Kalista. Seeing the Alistair locked in, even though Poppy's available, you assume it's not going to get locked in here for Eddie or whoever else wants to run it.
And the funniest thing about this is the same style that G2 beat Vitality when they were playing it. I mean, Vitality were the ones wanting to protect the AD carry, and for some reason G2 are like, well, we played really well against it yesterday. Let's go for that kind of composition. I mean, there is nothing wrong with that kind of composition overall, but when you just look at it, it can be difficult if you're put in front of a lineup that becomes very tough to kill and has a fair amount of damage. Now, what I will say is Ryze will take more time considerably than the Ahri that was played into the Protect the AD carry composition yesterday, but still there are the issues for G2.
I'm not hopeful for this comp. The only damage source, Kalista, and all of her end stacks can be negated by Lamb's Respite or a Mundo heal, or if she gets caught. So I don't know. Let's see if G2 can make me a believer. But for ROCCAT, I think they have more options on the assumption they can get a few items under their belt, because it is another scaling, limited wave clear team composition.
It is. And I wouldn't count G2 out too quickly. Perks will still be able to find openings in the mid game where he's looking to kind of get involved with the rest of his team, look to output damage. Lulu is by no means the lowest damage mid laner when you look at it.
Definitely.
Certainly has a lot of potential still to make her mark on the game. It's not just all about protecting that Kalista, but it will be a very tough ask. Now, if you want Kalista to be able to carry, that is going to be a tough one.
And of course, both Trick and Emperor, the two players that were brought onto G2 for the LCS, they were imported from Korea. Let's see whether or not they can pick up the win. Jump onto Twitter, hashtag G2win, if you believe in the former Challenger squad, or hashtag ROCwin to make it 2-0. Both of these teams will end week 1 undefeated. You can see the champions of the summer split on the back wall as we load up onto the Rift. These teams want to make it to those playoffs, and it all starts with the regular season. So, G2, earlier power spike, limited damage.
I think they've got enough damage for my liking for now. I think the problem becomes when Mundo gets a good few items under him and Ryze has the items under him, because then Ryze's damage eclipses a lot of what G2 has to offer, and that's just purely from a survivability point. Mundo, how do you kill him? Emperor kind of has to put a lot of the focus there, so there do become problems that we can see, but ROCCAT want to go fairly deep just to get the vision control on the early game, and this is just something we've seen very standard from most of these teams. Even
Advantage
on the
Emperor.
top side, they're going in as well. G2 looking for the same kind of vision.
This is a little risky, I think, because Betsy's going to be able to find Kikis. Not really going to be able to do anything about it, though, as Kikis is going to waddle his way out. Kench was unbenched for one more time. And we're going to have those standard lanes. So I do like the fact that, you know, G2 were a very early active team yesterday, and their team comp can do very well. The Lulu can enable Kalista, can enable Tom Kench, Lee Sin.
Yeah.
So if they build up that lead, that's one way to make me shut up from my ban opinion.
That is true. What I would say, though, is if G2 can pull this off and show another style, they will be one of the real teams now in this first week that are showing us a multitude of different ways of playing. Fnatic stuck to the same picks and bans as yesterday. H2K stuck to the same macro play where they would all group on one person and all be involved. So if G2 can play two very different styles and get 2 victories, I think that's a good start for them.
Even if they don't win, the experience of playing a very all-in protect the AD style composition is also very, very useful to have that knowledge and experience under your belt on the stage. So let's see how they perform themselves. It is going to be standard lanes. And Emperor and Hybrid already trying to zone Sephi and Edward.
Here's this mid-game, this mid-lane damage, though, from Perkz. He's kind of been coerced into taking that Ignite 100% here in this mid lane because of the Mundo. You have to have something that'll deal with that, with the health regen he gets. So he's going to look for that kill pressure in the early game against the Ryze, and Perkz is very confident in these 1v1 setups. So look for him to output that damage. Look for him maybe to look to burn summoners, get a kill perhaps. Unlikely, but he's certainly a player that can do it. Flash into the Devour!
Kikis has flashed for the Nom. Trick finds the Sonic Waves, gone for the tower dive, but will not have the damage. So Kikis flash for Freddy flash. And they're just going to trade and back away. But Freddy's forced to recall already, healing off from the damage.
And Kikis won't mind that at all, the flash for flash, because I think at that point, yes, it would have been nice to have got extra from there, but Kikis is looking just to completely set up the pace of this top lane. Look to just trade all the time against Freddy, give him as tough an early game as he can, just to try and deny him farming, because once a Mundo gets a couple of items, it's very, very difficult. Airwax hops over the wall, won't get too much from Perkz,
So
he's in trouble.
Trick, the Sonic Wave connects, another flash away. Trick finds himself on the wrong end of a rune prison, takes a couple of autos, and Betsy is now the one that's in somewhat of a trouble. The Glitzerlance lands. Hybrid, he's flashed forward to find the exhaust. Trick needs to connect to the Sonic Wave. He won't, as Betsy flashes away. And everybody's fighting in the mid lane. Summoner spell's blown, but it's ROCCAT to come out worse for wear.
Yeah, you can see how aggressive G2 are trying to be here, just pushing up, trying to get as much as they can in this early game to set ROCCAT behind. If they can get that going, and they have so far, that is how they'll stay in this game. The problem is they patiently farming in some of the lanes. The bottom lane, you can see Sophia is farming up a lead against Emperor, even though, you know...
This is how
Hybrid
ROCCAT
left.
started to win the game yesterday with an invade, with the assist. Trick is in trouble. He gets booted backwards. Airwax and Eddie, they get the first blood. And ROCCAT, they've got themselves a 1,000 gold lead already.
Yeah, really nice pickup here, knowing that Trick was low. They didn't give him any options to recall other than running all the way out of his jungle, and Trick at this point was trying desperately to just hold on to some of the control that they had still in that lower jungle so that he didn't lose his red buff, but ends up paying for it. Red buff goes away. Edward spends a little bit more time out of lane, but comes up huge from it. Flash pulverize once again on point from Edward.
And I'm quite confident that Airwax had actually set Trick as his target from the passive, so going to get those stacks and bonus damage building up even earlier. So a good start for ROCCAT. Almost a mimic of yesterday's game.
Yeah, pretty much. And, you know, another thing that goes in Airwax's favor, not only did he get that from the kill on Trick, also gets a very easy Rift Scuttler on the way back out. That was marked up as well, so we'll get that little bit extra from the stack there. So Trick has found his way into the bottom side of the map. Bottom river looking for Sophia here. In goes Hybrid.
Hybrid's gonna tag Edward up. 1, 2, 3. The fourth will stun. It does. 80's being stacked with those Rins, and Emperor will find the kill. G2 reply, and it goes to the land that needs the gold.
Yeah, this is all trickle down right now. It's all of these flashes that were burned in some of the more aggressive moments. Good pathing out by Trick, knowing he's just avoiding the Rift Scuttler vision. Really nice pathing actually, but Airwax already knows that it was the bottom side of the map that Trick was on, so goes right into the top jungle. Is going to take away a lot of the top side. I wonder, this may end up forcing Trick to walk into his jungle, see nothing, and look to either gank or counter-gank topside. This is something we actually saw a little bit earlier in the Unicorns of Love Splice game, where Diamond Prox managed to force the hand of Trashy and force him to come top lane, and ended up really not paying off for the Splice guys. So Trick will see the wolves running through the jungle. Isn't going to head top from that, I doubt.
Yeah, but Airwax is waiting. He's going to get the jump. We'll have the Dance of Arrows as well as Wolf Frenzy. 1, 2, 3. And there's the HP damage. Going to carry on chasing. Not going to go for the dive just yet, but chunks him low. Perks is roaming from the mid lane, but will find some trouble in the form of Betsy. And Airwax again playing very, very confidently. This is a guy who really sort of struggled last year. And in his first 2 showings on stage, is having a positive impact. Kick his piece out.
He's out. He's like, I can see what's going on here already. Nope, don't want any of this under my turret. That is obviously a big, big factor, though. That is one of the global presences now. Down Perks in the mid lane.
Betsy's overloading. Rune Prison, Wild Growth. Flash away. There's no flash for Betsy. He's ghosting in. And Betsy 1v1s Perks with no combat summoner.
No combat summoner, and also no real extra combat stats. Perks even had Ignite during that. I would love to see perhaps the laning before that. We're not going to get it because I'd love to see like a whole minute worth of the trades there. But Betsy is going to obviously have a lot of damage with the Thunderlords, but that generally isn't enough on a Ryze this early on. I mean, this is a Ryze that had a Doran's Ring and a Sapphire Crystal, is able to trade effectively into Perks. I am very interested to see how that's set up, because Perks is not the kind of mid laner that ends up dying very often 1 versus 1.
Was Lulu one of those subset of champions that he stood out with during his Challenger scene tenure?
No.
Maybe there's the answer to your question, Stress, because that was the introduction yesterday. This is a
okay. I have the answer to what exactly happened. For about 2 or 3 shots, there was a cannon minion and about 3 or 4 ranged creeps attacking the Lulu at the same time. So Betsy was actually lower on health before that even started. Bot lane, though. Well,
Eddie's going to be stunned out here by Edward again. Trick is just repeating the gank. He will knock Hybrid under the tower, but simply not going to matter. And Emperor will again bounce back. It's touching distance. 400 gold the difference, and it's Emperor that's getting all the kills for G2.
It is, and that can end up, giving G2 that lift here, as we were talking about. It's all about protecting Emperor later the game goes, and if he's getting the kills early, building himself towards that Blade of the Ruin King just to try and get through the Dr. Mundo and the rest of the ROCCAT lineup, it could end up good for them, but Sophia, very low bottom lane. Perks, double flash.
It's action everywhere. Perks is not going to get away from this one. He's got no flash. Glitterlance doesn't matter. And ROCCAT have got a kill. Now, the way this game is played, when ROCCAT gets a kill, Trick ganks bottom and gets Emperor 1.
He's going top.
Far away, though.
He's going top, but I think the pathing that he will look for in the next minute or so is going to be to mid lane to try and gank Betsy with his flash down. Ghost still not available as well. Keep in mind, Airwax used his flash there as well, so it was 2 summoners for the kill. ROCCAT will be happy with that, but G2 still have that opportunity to capitalize back on it. But this is a very back and forth summoner trading game that is resulting in a good few scrappy ganks that are coming up with kills.
And a question you have to ask, is a Ryze that's 2-0 or a Kalista that's 2-0 at 10 minutes more valuable? I think I'm going to put my money on the Ryze, but we'll find out, because ROCCAT need to make it work. ROCCAT have got a good head start. Airwax continues to build stacks. I think that was his 3rd, if I read that correctly. And he spent so much time in G2's jungle.
Yeah, he did. He just was going straight into the jungle, looking for any kind of opportunity to deny Trick any kind of farm. Good start to the game from Airwax, honestly. We talked about how we didn't really see that from him too much. Nice to see Airwax actually being able to put in these performances that we did see a couple of when he was playing on the Wolves last split. But
hey, look, Trick's coming bottom.
Yeah.
2 to 3.
Here we go again.
Safa's going low. There is some support from Perks. Ignite will be available shortly. He's been the target for 2 previous kills, but Airwax wants to come in. Teleport comes out from Freddy, and Perks will be left for dead. Wild Growth should just interrupt the inevitable once it gets used. The Fate's Call will pull Hybrid backwards. He goes back in to knock Sapphire up. Hybrid continues to burn low. Wild Growth has been used onto Emperor, the damage dealer, as Betsy gets turned into a cute little munchkin. He gets kicked under the tower, and Lamb's Respite is going to keep everybody alive. The heal will pop up and survive for ROCCAT. 2 more kills.
Well, this is exactly what's happening for ROCCAT as to what G2 did yesterday. They're just getting the lead in the early game, and they're going to be able to transition this better and better as this game opens up. They've already got the mid tower, now they're getting the bottom tower. All they're really trading away for it is damage on the top lane tower, and I kind of want to take a look. Tahm isn't that close to getting the tower yet. It's only a third of the health is gone, so Kikis didn't choose to teleport down for that engage. I wonder whether there was a good spot for it, because Freddy did join this fight. Edward goes aggressive on Quicks. Teleport wasn't available during the fight. That's a key factor here. So good teleport timings there from the G2, from ROCCAT's roster to know they had the numbers advantage. In comes Betsy from the river. We expect him to output a fair amount of damage now with the kills in his arsenal from the beginning of this game. Perks drops from there, Lamb's Respite. Exactly what you need in this situation. And it's going to be so difficult. That situation is going to happen time and time again, where they're able to get 1 or 2 members low. Out comes the Kindred ultimate. Emperor can't do too much.
Yep, that is what I'm anticipating. That was something that we mentioned in Picks and Bans. ROCCAT have come out swinging. Airwax has had a very good impact on this Kindred. And if we look up top, Trick is coming to play. He wants to work with Kikis. Kikis will swallow Freddy's Mundo, and there's the masochism and sadism burning away. Freddy's trying to run out. He gets stunned and just comboed down. The regen is good, but I don't know if it's enough. Stun again. Kikis and Trick just running him down. But it took a very long time. Look in the middle lane. Stress, we can talk about that gank in a moment. Fate's Call is used. Nobody gets knocked up. Glacial Fissure will become available in just a few more seconds, and Edward may get stunned out. Abyssal Voyage means the Kench has arrived. He does have a trick to deliver. But
there was no treat at the end of that when they just run all the way back away from it. So just, no, don't want this. We used the ult. That's the second one that Kikis has used that's kind of like, well, okay, we don't want anything from this at the end of it. So not by no means a bad ult, because just the presence of arriving with the 2 people there is enough for ROCCAT kind of to go, okay, maybe we don't want this fight either, and everybody backs away. But you can see just the sheer damage from Lucian's culling on Emperor at this point in the game. Even with having a fairly quiet game for Sophia, just farming up, he's had a lot of focus from Trick on the bottom lane. Now he's got a focus from Hybrid coming, but Exhaust used as well. Wow, this is a lot. There's no follow-up.
No support.
There's no follow-up from Emperor. This is like big miscommunication. Emperor's here sat in the bottom lane. This is a cannon wave. I want this. Don't make me miss this farm.
Exhaust and Glacial Fissure from Hybrid being put down, and there was simply no one around to help out. So G2 gonna lose that access. Now Freddy's got about a third of his teleport cooldown available. He actually watched Kikis TP back to that top lane. So ROCCAT are gonna have this additional timing window where Freddy can TP for another play. They've got 3 towers. They've got a 4,000 gold lead. ROCCAT can do whatever they want because they're so far ahead right now.
The reason that they can do whatever they want right now is you look at the ability for G2 to capitalize on anybody on ROCCAT that's out of position. We don't have anything. Ooh, as Airwax has been caught. It's good damage.
That's really good damage. Airwax forced to flash away. Tower security for G2 down bottom. That will close some of that gold gap, but Trick, he wants to use that sort of rush Lee Sin style that we saw in North America. We'll talk about that in a moment. Hybrid is going to find a stun into Freddy. Freddy is going to have a ton of spears stacking into him, but he's going to regen for such a long time. Blade of the Rune King's been used, as has the Fate's Call. Ren stack is continuing to build.
It's going to be huge.
Wow, he is just gone. Now Betsy wants to run Kikis down. And they've got Sapphire as well.
Airwax
it's a 3v2.
He has his ult.
Kikis can get to Airwax. He might be able to do something. Can't even use the grey health.
Airwax holds his nerve there. Knows he's in no danger at that point. Just completely holds on to his ultimate. ROCCAT just trading. Again, every single time something happens one side of the map, ROCCAT are taking something on the other. They have slowly extended this lead further and further. This is a fairly open, fairly messy game right now. When you look at the clean League of Legends that people talk about, when it's trading towers and not a whole lot of kills. Talking about that bottom lane trade for Freddy, he's got no real armor, or didn't at the time. Still doesn't really have any, and at that point Freddy is able to be taken out by Emperor. The later this game goes, once Freddy has that extra armor, has the extra health, that's when it's going to become almost too difficult for Emperor.
The 2 times you've seen him killed, though, it took such a long time. Then you've got to add the threat of Airwax, Betsy, and Sapphire to team fights with without the fact that Eddie can disrupt everything. That's the challenge that G2 have to overcome. But all 3 kills are sitting with Emperor right now. One additional one to Kikis. It's going to be interesting to see how they play out this next mid-game. 4 pink wards for ROCCAT as well, so let's see where they place them and how much value they get from the vision.
Yeah, that really is one of the key things now with the changes to vision is how do you use your pink wards? How do you really think about your vision control? Because pink wards, you know, this is a discussion we've been having between a lot of the casters. Is like pink wards, how valuable are they compared to like the old pink wards? They're slightly cheaper because we gutted Ribbon. That's why we had to give her a little bit back, okay? That's why. You know, when you look at old pink wards, they were pretty expensive. If you didn't get too much from them, you didn't really want to place them in really weird spots. Now they're a bit cheaper. You can't buy green wards anyway. So just kind of be a little bit more liberal. Throw out as many in good situations as you can. And if they survive the length of an old green ward, they've done their job quite spectacularly.
Yeah, oftentimes more so.
Yeah.
ROCCAT placing some deep vision down. Teleport is available for Kikis, as is Freddy. And the rest of ROCCAT, they've grouped themselves up in this middle lane. They've decided to siege for the tower. The minion wave is going down relatively quickly. That is until Freddy decides to TP in. And there's a support from Kikis. He's teleported onto a ward. Airwax is going to put down Wolf's Frenzy. And Kikis is looking to eat somebody. The Fisher goes out and splits up the team fight, but there's no further stun. Lamb's Respite comes on. Airwax will get kicked out, and that means he can get killed. Perks finds it. Follow Perks as well as Emperor. He's the man that needs to win this for G2. Eddie's going low. Shutdown kill as Kikis finds one. That's a double. The Kench is looking for more. Get in my belly is what he's yelling. Saf is going to get dropped as Perks finds the 3rd kill of the fight. The 4th for G2 and a follow-up tower.
Well, there's the answer for you. For G2 in this situation, they get Airwax out of his ultimate, force the ult very early on by catching him out. And at that point, it's just so easy to pick up the rest.
Yeah, the coach is sitting there as this game has been cracked wide open. A 4,000 gold swing.
Big swing in this one, and it's all from catching Airwax. The ultimate splits everybody up here from Hybrid. It's not exactly what he was looking for, but at that point, he'll take it. Trick's waiting for the kick. Pushes Airwax just out of range of his ult, and from here, it's all on G2's focus. Look at who they focus down. It's Betsy first, then onto the rest of the squishier targets. Freddy is pretty much untouched from this. He popped his ultimate, and then is running around, not taking any aggro from G2. G2 managed to take down the rest of the lineup. Freddy can't really do too much.
Just like that, G2 now have a 2,000 gold lead. Blade of the Rune King as well as Hurricane completed for Emperor. But Hurricane can crit now, so if Emperor wants to go the full damage route, maybe we're going to see some Iage in his build. He's going to need some armor pen, I'm expecting, so let's find out. Kikis will not find the tongue lash onto Airwax, but wow!
Whoa.
Zaffa gets chunked by the Thunderlords. Another flash from Airwax, and composition activated. G2 are screaming.
They are, and you can see there is still damage from Perks. It's not all about the utility. That is just the primary role. Oh, Airwax getting dropped low. Tricks into the enemy base.
He's been kicked on the wrong side. Sonic Wave won't find its target. A tower goes down on the side of ROCCAT. That was the inner turret?
Yeah, inner mid tower.
But look on bottom. Freddy's busy split pushing, Stress.
Yeah, inner mid tower fell for Freddy. Mundo not the fastest at this. Remember, we did take away some of his E damage at this point. Now G2 want to push onto the top lane. Freddy, I think, may even have to come back here. He's not getting enough work done in this middle lane. G2 already taking the inhibitor tower.
You started a base race 4v1 with the Mundo. G2 have cracked open the base. They haven't backed away yet. Freddy's going to finish his recall, but it's going to be too late. G2 will be... No, they haven't got the inhibitor yet. Hybrid is going to use the Glacial Fissure. Inhibitor still stands. Perks is going low. He's forced to back away. He doesn't have Wild Growth either. Betsy's looking for Emperor. Emperor's running for his
he's
life.
alone.
Perks is down. Hybrid's down. Emperor forced to flash away. And ROCCAT, crucially, saved their inhibitor.
Save the inhib and potentially save the game for themselves. I think there would have just been too much map pressure for G2 if they'd have taken that inhib. At this point, ROCCAT, they're the team that has the 280 carry setup. They should be the ones being able to push towers, but they left it to a Mundo, and now they turn to the Baron. This isn't always the answer for teams. And for ROCCAT, is it going to be too little? Are they going to be able to take this?
Let's take a look. Emperor's looking for more. Grey health is being used for Kikis. The Baron's been stopped. It's a 3v5.
damage.
Trick's got one. Kikis has got another before he goes down himself. Emperor's looking to hop, to skip, to jump, to kill. He's got another. And all of a sudden, G2 find 4 more kills. Emperor is not done yet. Freddy's forced to run away. He's lobbing that paperwork, but it may not be enough. Emperor tries to lifesteal his way up. He's going to be able to use that martial poise, and he finds the ace.
Emperor once again able to just clean everything up at the end of this fight. I believe ROCCAT, after starting the Baron, peeled down to try and take out the 2 members of G2, but the backline kept in the Baron aggro radius, which did so much damage onto the carries, and ROCCAT just umming and ahhing around this objective that we know has become a trap for teams. Now it's G2 that secure the Baron. That was an easy pickup at the end of the team fight. I want to see this again, because look at this, ROCCAT, they decide they want to fight, but where does the rest of ROCCAT stay? They're still inside the aggro radius. I see another Baron shot hit from then. Now it's Baron actually aggro's back onto Saphir after quite some time at this point.
I don't know if it ever left.
Well, Baron had a
Yeah.
long time of not attacking, and Saphir got hit for about 200 damage.
Also, I don't know if fishing was the right way to go because everybody on ROCCAT was looking at Kikis' Kench. Emperor, there was never anyone attacking him. He just stood in auto attack range and was left to do his job for free and did it uncontested. G2 get a Dragon, a Baron, a 5,000 gold lead. And now they're looking for more on this bottom turret.
Yeah, and now at this point, you've got to look at how did G2 deal with what they were thrown early game. Trick had to deal with Airwax invading so much, and Trick's at 2-1-10. He's having another great game here today. Perks was able to hold through the damage in the early game and now providing damage in utility. And Emperor, he's at 5-0-6, has been able to just clean up these fights very well, has been in trouble a couple of times.
Oh, Fate's Call knocks up members of ROCCAT and the Fisher slows them down. There is no retreat when G2 set those sights on you. Freddy's going to stay alive from the Lamb's Respite as Emperor shuts down Airwax. The tower will drop shortly in just a few moments and another inhibitor will follow. This might be game. There's Baron-empowered minions. We're 23 minutes in. G2 won yesterday in 25, and they want to break that record today. They were down 4,000 gold, and G2 break open the Nexus turret, knock down the second, and go undefeated in week 2. What a performance! Eventually.
Great stuff out of G2, and you know, a dead Eddie and Freddy means this game is in the bag for G2 at this point. It's for a lineup that came out of Challenger. You have to be very impressed. The 2 lineups, you've got Splice and G2. G2 are the one that made a fair amount of changes in between the off-season and now, and they've come out undoubtedly ahead. The additions they made with Trick and Emperor, while in-game not always 100% on the same page, I think is fair to say, with some of the rest of them, with that little sequence with Hybrid, they generally have looked very strong as a team.
What a fantastic performance. Down around 4,000 to 5,000 gold by 15 minutes. Turn it around with one gigantic team fight after another. And I need to ask our stats guys to check this before going to analyst desk, but this may be the first comeback win of the spring split in 2016. And what a dramatic comeback it was. ROCCAT obviously heartbroken after a phenomenal start. It's the Nexus that matters.
I've heard it's technically not, which is the worst kind, or best kind of being right, the worst kind of being wrong.
I'm sure we'll find out exactly how it works, but 4,000 gold down to a 10,000 gold win, and they beat their win time yesterday.
Yeah.
I'm blown away. I really did not have the expectation that Callista Lulu was going to be enough in the mid game, but we never got to the mid game because the game was over at 24 minutes.
Yeah, it absolutely wasn't. You know, I think the most intriguing thing about this is when you look at how the lineup has changed, the playstyle's changed with it. For G2, always in Challenger, it was, well, does Perks carry? If no, they don't win the game.
Yeah.
At this point, they've come in now with 2 different playstyles, have won with both, and they show that they have the ability to carry from more than one role. One thing's for certain is Trick. He had big words before the game. He's putting on a good performance, but what I will say, we will temper expectations just a touch. They have had what was coming into this, one of the easier week ones. I think it's fair to say they haven't faced the likes of Fnatic, Origin, Vitality, H2K, but if they can do a performance like that against them, I think they still have the ability maybe to look for the high middle of the pack at least.
I think that's fair, and I do think that for G2 there was expectations on middle to upper half of the table as opposed to middle lower.
Yeah.
And this week is definitely going to paint a new target on their back, I feel, because of how well their players have performed. Individually, there've been some great mechanical decision making, and as a team, for the most part, have looked very, very good. Now for ROCCAT, a similar story. This is a squad that was almost written off. I anticipated them placing bottom 3, and they've shown 2 very good performances. So a lot to talk about, which we will be doing in the next couple of minutes. But for now, we're going to head to Pulse, who's going to talk to a familiar face on G2.
Thank you, Quickshot. Joined by Kickers here from Gamers 2 after an incredible game. And first off, you guys were down in that game and then just turned it on. Tell me about what happened in that game and how you just swung it around.
Well, yeah, we had pretty bad early game. We didn't really manage to get ahead. Actually, they got ahead. They got like 3 early tier 1 turrets, and they probably had like, I don't know, maybe 2k gold lead or maybe 3. But we just knew we drafted better. We had superior team comp, and they just couldn't kill us in teamfight. Like, we were too tanky. We had Tam Kench, we had Lulu. We had everything in our power to don't let them kill Kalista in teamfights, and we just outscaled them.
Yeah, and the Tam Kench was insane. I actually want to ask you about your role swap to the top lane as well. How has that been transitioning to a different role? I know back in the day you used to play basically everything as well.
I think the transition is fine. Like, I will need some time to be like one of the best because I aim to be one of the best, but it's kind of similar for me because my playstyle was kind of supportish in the jungle, and I have the same playstyle on top lane right now. Especially with the tank meta and utility champions on top lane, well, there's only Fiora that is like carry champion. I think it's gonna be good.
I want to jump on you talking about wanting to be the best because you jumped out of Unicorns of Love, went back into the Challengers Series, fought your way all the way back into the LCS. Is this what you envisioned when you came back into the LCS? Is this what you wanted?
Yeah, it's looking really great. Like, our communication in game is really crisp. We only say useful stuff. It might be quiet at times, but it's really good. I enjoy playing with every single of my teammates, and they're hard workers, and I think we can achieve a lot.
Well, thank you very much for the interview, Kickers, and congratulations on the win. We're going to throw it over to the analysts to take a look at the game.
Thank you very much, Pulse and Kickis, and well, from Kickis to someone who was kicking it, Trick. Wow, whew! Brand new jungler here from Korea for Gamers 2, and putting his team on his back 2 games in a row.
We've seen it before. Korean junglers coming to Europe, they tend to do really, really well, and Trick is just another one. He played a few games for CJ back in Korea, so obviously we knew a little bit about him, but not enough to really say what kind of player he was, other than very aggressive, very good mechanics, and he's showing it big time.
Yep. And we look at this game.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Wait, now you totally ruined my flow.
Yeah.
Because you had a replay for the mid lane team fight showing that it wasn't only Trick, but in
True.
Gamers 2.
I mean, this is also a lot about Trick because he's making good play, but we can just roll it anyway and see the big fight. And Kickers was talking about this.
Yeah.
How tanky this lineup is. Lack of damage maybe for G2, but Tam, Kench, Lulu, Braum, I mean, it's almost impossible to kill anyone.
Yeah, I was actually watching this game backstage with Origin, and they're like, okay, joking all around, and then they were like, oh, this is disgusting. So like the fact that not only he kicks him out of the Kalista ulti, he then gets devoured by Tam Kench. Meanwhile, Mundo is flanking and killing the support. Barely jumps out hybrid anyways. Yeah, I thought this game was going really well for ROCCAT, and when they were about 4k down, that's when Niels or Sven right now backstage was saying that this game's over.
Yeah.
But for the other team, you know? So I was like, okay, why? And then this happened. I was like, okay, maybe you're right. Maybe we should swap places.
It certainly felt that way, but I think that's one of the situations where you see how to deal with a Mundo is don't deal with them. Just let him be there. Just be like, well, we'll take out everybody else. And then that actually surprisingly takes a good amount of communication, which we saw a couple of communication errors, but it seems like G2 are on the same page.
I think what we see from ROCCAT, just to talk a little bit about them, is they are not making a ton of proactive plays, but they're very good at reacting to what the other team is doing. Like early on in the game, there's the dive on the bottom lane at the 10-11 minutes where they know, oh, Kickers has no teleport. We can TP it down. We can take this fight. And they get like 2 kills from it. They're very good at reacting when the other team is making mistakes, and they need to keep doing that.
Going back to the draft though, getting the Lulu later on in the draft. I believe it was not first, but
Yeah.
they actually picked it up. But then it went mid into the Rise, which is a horrible matchup overall. Discussed a little bit with Power of Evil. He's like, yeah, there's not much you can do.
Free farm
But then
Rise.
Perks really, dropped the ball. He went 0-3 early in the game. That could have costed, what was a beautiful team come overall the game by just really feeding your lane that hard. So that's something G2 will have to work on, because against a better team, maybe you don't get to that point where you can close out and then you get into trouble.
It is one of those mistakes we hopefully won't see too often from Perks. Like, he is kind of the guy we're also hyping up from this lineup. On a more supportive champion, you don't have to go for any kills playing Lulu into Rise. You literally just say, let's farm and do nothing else. Luckily, again, because of some good team fights, and who do you even target in Tahm Kench, Lulu, Braum? Like, if you go for the Kalista, she gets a ton of shields coming in, and it's so difficult to kill her.
She is the only damage. So the ideal
She is,
scenario
yeah.
is pulverize Flash on Tahm Kench and Kalista, so you then can knock Tahm Kench away.
I keep going. And then the Lulu as well.
And then somehow make sure one of the guys disconnect,
Right,
and maybe
right,
you can kill the Kalista. That's
And then
about
you
it.
win the power ball, right? At that point in the setup for that team fight. But
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Well,
the only thing you would.
Good thing we have you here to break down those intricate plays. We heard that you got subbed out, by the way, at the caster desk because you were stressed.
Yeah, man, try to carry Quickshot in the cast for 2 games. You did it one
it
game.
was 25 minutes. I'm like, oof, I'm done. I need to
Yeah,
come
look
back.
a little red here.
Aw.
So.
There you guys.
Wow.
Well, enough of that. I think the final thing we can say about this is that ROCCAT, we hadn't valued them that high when coming into this weekend. It did get 1-1 and showed some promising things in G2 as well.
I mean, I've always been a fan of the ROCCAT roster overall. Okay, no, I said horrible things about them. I got to eat my words. This game, I mean, they've done better than I expected.
Sure.
No Tarek pick, which is obviously why they lost this game overall. Yeah, we'll have to see more how it develops, because
More Tarek.
more Tarek for one. And a reactive team is good and all, but as long as you play a perfect game yourself, if a team plays a perfect game, there is no amount of reaction that can make up for that. Proactive plays are generally always better than reactive plays, so we need to see if ROCCAT can come out of the bag with some strategies of their own.
Yeah, reacting to plays will never get you #1 in the EU LCS, but it should be enough to make you beat some of the teams making a ton of mistakes like Spice and Elements have been doing.
Yeah, let's see where it got them at the end of week 1. Let's take a look at the standings and how our teams stack up so far. We got H2K, Unicorns of Love, and G2 at 2-0, and Splice, Giants, and OG on 0-2, and especially some of those 0-2 teams. Splice, maybe we expected a little bit more from out of the gate, but OG, we got to talk a little bit about them. They missed their start completely at the beginning of the split.
Yeah, 2 times pick and ban phase where I feel like we had a lot of questions about it, and also in-game. When they draft these very risky compositions, often fairly slow scaling or lacking wave clear, whatever it is, like there's no room for mistakes, and very clearly this team is not playing at the top level yet compared to what we saw at Worlds and obviously back in the summer split.
And they just both games that Origin played were almost over at 10 minutes.
Yeah.
They had a very risky draft, and then they got punished early. The last game, they had a lane swap while they have a scaling Rise, a scaling Cassidy, and no wave clear. Yeah, well, that's it. That's game over. That is, if this was a scrim, you would just Alt F4 at 10 minutes and say GG next. That's the way the game
Shrimp,
goes.
not solo queue, guys.
Not solo queue. In solo
not
queue,
solo
you keep trying because somebody will throw the game. But just in a scrim environment, yeah, this game was over at 10 minutes. They had maybe one Hail Mary teleport play. That was it. And it didn't work out. And it's so hard to play the game from 15, 20 minutes onwards.
when you look at the teams they played, they were top of the pack teams. I think if Origin had played yesterday's Vitality, there would have maybe been a different result, but Vitality fixed a lot of their stuff overnight. They come in with a game plan for Fnatic, the Vitality played Fnatic, I meant H2K. H2K just... I lost my point because I forgot what game it was.
Yeah.
Well, I'll bring in a new point.
everything he
I'll
said.
get back to you.
I'll bring in a new point, something I actually wanted
Same.
to talk about on the topic of OG, is I think that it's a very interesting dynamic there. We have Power of Evil, and this is probably one of the first times, except maybe Reckless going back to Fnatic, that we see a player coming into an already winning team going all the way to semifinals at Worlds. So I must imagine there must be some psychological effects there that we can't underestimate.
I mean, yeah, it comes into a winning team, but this is a winning team that went on break and is clearly no longer the same Origin that was at World's Top 4. This is, again, this more reminds me of Origin that was in the Challenger Series, finding their grounds, knowing that there's plenty of time to fix these issues and eventually will become a good team again. So,
Right.
again, this game kind of ended at 5 or 10 minutes when what do you do as Cassidy? Yeah, you play the laning phase. What can you improve? Maybe queue some less minions, and that's about it for Power of Evil. He went down to the bottom lane, tried to split push, zone somebody out, but that was it. Like, the game was, from a macro point of view, against a good opponent, over at 10-12 minutes, mostly due to H2K's fantastic draft and Origin's horrendous draft.
And we just gotta always remember what Vitality, what Fnatic, what Origin are always talking about how this is week 1. Again,
We are talking about it too.
we also talking quite a lot about it, by the way. But week 1 is not where you win the championship. You have 9 weeks now to get back into top level, really practice as much as possible, hopefully have internet in your gaming house and everything. So once we get to playoffs, and if this Origin team cannot get top 6, I mean, then something is really, really wrong. So they will obviously bounce back.
Or they're really bad.
No, they will bounce back no matter what.
That's
They'll be like top 4 and get into playoffs, and that's where we got to see, the Origin we know from last year.
If Origin doesn't get top 6, that means Europe wins Worlds. So it's good either way.
Okay, fair enough.
Because the rest is so good.
Yeah.
The point.
Fair enough.
Wishful thinking.
Wishful thinking. You may not win the split in week 1, but I think the thing you can say you can do in week 1 is pick up wins that can help you when it comes to the playoff race at the end, which
Sure.
a team like ROCCAT beating Vitality, who are, tipped to be a top of the table team, that kind of win is the separation between the middle and lower teams if they end up there.
Yep, definitely.
Yeah, definitely. So one thing I want to talk about as well is Fnatic, of course. We had not tipped them as winning over Origin yesterday, or most of us hadn't. The roster had also been in flux, and Daylor had said, well, we want to be a finished unit at the end of the summer split. That's very long term, and they had a 1-1 here. What's your overall impression?
I feel like their second day took away a lot from the first day. We
Yeah.
were saying, like, oh, genius draft. Wow, the answers they got to this composition. And then they carbon copy the composition blind again. And we're like, maybe they just all practiced one champion and that was it coming
Maybe.
into this week. And maybe it was a little lucky. I didn't like their...
Like that Ari prediction.
It was a good draft yesterday. Like the Olaf,
Yeah, it was
Lissandra,
fantastic.
and
I
so
loved
on and so on. But obviously H2K were like, okay, so if they're going to first pick or first rotation the Poppy once again,
Morgana.
Was
we just got to
Vitality.
pick Morgana.
Plus Vitality.
It's okay. We
Vitality,
just swapped
H2K.
everything.
They're all new
But-
teams, super teams, whatever.
Confusing for us as well.
Okay, Vitality, they obviously said
Sing's team.
if you're Kasing's team, yeah, new team. If you're gonna pick the Poppy again, we're gonna go Morgana into it. We have a massive hard counter, and they were basically ready for this composition.
Also, Fnatic just messed up the lane swap. They weren't ready for it. They pushed the 2 waves in. Cabo teleports down to the
I
bottom.
don't even know why they swapped back
Odo.
into the
Jesus
into
Christ, now I
2v2.
keep confusing them on 2.
So Fnatic had the lane swap. Fnatic had the lane
You're
swap
getting
and then
old.
said,
Yeah.
you know what, boys, we don't want this lane swap. They swapped back up to 2v2 lane. They're losing into MF Morgana. So they swapped into that one, fell behind in experience and farm, and both side lanes for Gamsu as well, because Gamsu had to run down while Cabochard would TP down and get 2 waves.
I
I'm like,
understand
that-
why, though. Because Cabochard otherwise would have had he has a lead there, a wave pushed into his tower. He could farm 1v2, I think, better than Gamsu could survive in the 1v2 up top. So therefore, they just opted to go for normal lanes. But the fact that Shook just consistently babysat that lane just made it impossible for Gamsu to get out. And the second Spirit showed anywhere else, Shook dives and it's over.
I don't really think that's really a reason, because you can just take the normal lane swap and you can just fast push it in with 3 guys, kill the tower, bounce it back to Gamsu, and Cabochard never picks up that farm in the first place. Like Olaf tends to even do a little bit better because, okay, you can also range farm with Axe. So to me, it was just it was like Fnatic had the game plan saying we want standard lanes. When they didn't get them, they're like, recall, rush top. And it was like super bad, honestly.
Yep. In
Sport-
any
yeah.
case, a lot learned from that first week, or maybe not that much. We'll see how everything evolves. Let's talk a little bit about the games in general that we've seen. The games have been on average 5 minutes shorter than what we've seen in the summer of 2015. A lot came down to the picks, is what I believe Kasing said when we talked to him, but it is an interesting trend here in Europe where we've traditionally had some really, really long games as well.
Sure. I mean, teams have gotten better on a macro level for sure. There is more focus on the 1-3-1 and how to properly close out games. Keep in mind, tier 2 towers, tier 3 towers are weaker, so if that is executed properly, they go down. Also, you just do more damage because like Thunderlords is in here and people are playing very, very aggressive champions.
At the same time, though, I can see an evolution where when everybody plays early game and people keep picking more early game champions that just spike really early, then it actually is rewarded if you pick wave clear champions plus 1 hyper carry in the late game. Say you pick a Ryze and you babysit the Ryze to make it into the late game and you have something that can wave clear mid. But a lot of these games, we had mid laners with 0 wave clear and the only guy on wave clear duty was a Lucian.
Or Graves jungle.
Graves, yeah, you're gonna
That's
lose.
great wave clear.
That's
That's
good wave clear.
fantastic.
One shot. But overall, I just want to see some maybe a late game carry somewhere plus a Victor. I mean, have fun sieging. You maybe get
That's
3
what
towers,
Elements did.
but then
I like that.
Yeah.
Fiora top for Steve,
I like
run
Elements.
Corky, run Victor, and you just wave clear for days, and Steve gets fed, and then Steve carried that game together with Gilius. Okay,
I
let's
like
put
the
them together.
surprise in your voice.
Yeah,
Steve,
well,
out
Steve
of all
surprises,
people.
honestly.
Steve on carries.
Jillius and Steve carrying a game. I mean, it's a whole new season, guys.
I mean, the problem with that, though, is we have seen a team try and do it. Splice tried to do it with Varus, get that wave clear mid lane and going with a Rise top, but I think there were issues outside.
No stress.
Hey, I'm getting there. Give me the time to get to the point. There were issues outside of the team composition for Splice. You know, the focus that was put on the Rise, just Wonderware crumbled under it. The actual macro play from Splice wasn't there. So I completely agree that that composition is a good reaction, but it's not an easy one to do. And we've even seen LGD mess that up this morning.
Yeah, and the issue with that is just like your wave clear has to be able to one-shot the wave from basically 2 screens away, and then, like that's the beauty about Victor's laser once he upgrades it. The 2-part, you know, can just instantly blow up the wave. If you even leave like 6 creeps on 1 HP, that's 6 tower shots, then it gets rough. So maybe NA finds the answer. I'll be watching the North American LCS for
Some
sure.
EU teams found the answer. So NA will copy the EU teams, is what he's trying to say.
We will see what happens, but over in the Fantasy LCS, you may find yourself atop the tables if G2's Emperor is in your lineup with 7 kills, 8 assists, and a kill share of just under 40%. He is today's fantasy leader with 27 points. I don't really remember who's in my roster, but I'm sure I did
not
do very
Emperor.
well.
You drafted something awful.
Horrible.
But,
and it's 2 teams.
Whoa.
I took the chance on Hybrid, who turns out he's the support for G2, in case you guys didn't know. And he played really well, got a ton of points.
Still a support.
Sleeper picks. Right there, boys. Right
Trick,
there.
I mean, does
Okay,
anyone
Trick
have
was
actually?
insane. Yeah, if you got Trick as well,
Yeah.
it would be awesome.
Okay, good. What?
I can't remember what I got. All I know is I had Cabo Shard, so hopefully got some points from today.
Oh, today definitely
Didn't get
did.
points from yesterday.
No, it's
but
decent.
I didn't play fantasy. I was busy playing.
He knew he'd lose. It's
Afraid to lose.
Yep, exactly.
I prefer
Everybody else
hindsight.
played.
Of course.
Even
I would have drafted him.
I would have drafted him.
So let's look at some more of the players, not only in Fantasy, but who have stepped up here in the first week of the LCS. Looking at the OP picks, we got to start with Ryu. Fantastic performance. We know he is a very, very solid player, but it seems to really gel with that revamped lineup as well.
I just like the pressure he puts in lane every time. He just opens up the map for H2K. Like he can pressure in mid, get the tower chipped away. Was this the clone block? Oh my god, this is disgusting, by the way. This is gonna. Oh no, that's tilt right there. But yeah, fantastic pressure, and then that.
I also like that Probably and the rest of H2K, they keep highlighting how much he's talking. So clearly he has a big part of this macro strategy coming in from H2K.
Well, he's one part, but another part is last year's Spring Split MVP in the AD carry role, Forgiven, coming back in 34% of team damage, 17 average CS difference at 10. That's pretty big, considering games are pretty short. That's a lot of extra gold that he's got there. 0 deaths in 2 games as well. Great performance.
And twice on Corki, I believe. His package management was fantastic.
Okay, next player to highlight for us is Febiven from the Fnatic lineup. Even though they went 1-1, oh, that LeBlanc, it's just so scary.
Yeah, game 1, day 1, definitely a fantastic performance for Febiven. This game, it was hard for him to do a whole lot because they fell really far behind. Again, he's trying. He's clearly taking on more of a carry role. He's playing these assassins, not sitting back on control mages and farming. And that's what he needs to do when he has new members.
Well, we started the day looking at the league leaders for assists and games played, and one of them has joined us on the OP5. It's Diamond Prox. Now the jungler of Unicorns of Love joins the mix. 2 great games. When you look at it, honestly, his impact in the early game, very, very strong, and just in general was able to control the pace of the game with Hylissang for the Unicorns of Love.
And this guy was so close to being the MVP.
Yeah.
Spoiler.
Okay.
Oh.
He's in the OP5.
Well,
You can
never
actually
mind.
see both.
Yeah, you can.
Welcome to the
I
show.
thought you dropped that. We have
2
5
years.
members and then MVP. No, I'm sure we dropped that somewhere.
All right. Anyways, what we didn't
He's
drop
not
is our
MVP,
5th
spoiler.
OP is Vizichachi, also from the 2-0 Unicorns of Love, because it was also someone that there were a lot of questions around, not the guy that will carry a game alone either, but having the right influences on the team.
Oh, sorry.
Go ahead, man.
No, you're not allowed
Take the mic.
anymore.
Take the mic. Oh, yeah, you
I'm just saying, I don't know what it is Diamond does to top laners, but him and Capo together, now him and Vizichachi together, that's some great synergy.
Yeah, so we were rating Unicorns of Love with each having like half a carry in each lane, so no true carry, but it seems like Diamond is literally like making everybody better around him. Fantastic pathing overall. We question him because, again, we tracked, if you didn't hear it, like how much time he spent in range of his allies back on Gambit, and it was dead last in terms of LCS rankings by a significant margin. So he wasn't doing anything in the early game. Getting no kill participation either. Shut us up all. Like, he really carried both games.
Definitely did, and was very close to MVP as the Fisher
Spoiler!
hinted to
Wow.
already. But in the end, we had to go for someone from another 2-0 team from Gamers 2. Had a serious part in the victory of his team, picking up 21 assists and only dying once in 2 games. G2 Trick, I mean, you were singing his praises all along.
I think Trick was a very, very exciting jungler to look at coming into the split. Not 100% sure how to rate him perfectly. He said himself he's going to be the best jungler in Europe, and it's a pretty good start because his performance was absolutely fantastic. He's super aggressive. He maximized his farm really well. And I was just a big fan of his Graves as well for day one.
I kind of want to see where he goes if the meta down the line starts
America.
shifting away from... yeah, well, you've
Next.
said it there. I was going to say, if the meta shifts away and you can't really play some of these, high damage junglers, how will he deal? But for now, absolutely in his element.
Yeah, definitely. Very, very deserved. We'll see how the league shakes out as things continue next week at 6 p.m. Central European Time. That is 9 a.m. Pacific. We're going to see some matches between Giants and G2 Esports, which will be a tough nut to crack for Giants. G2 is on form. We also see Splice there versus Vitality. Interesting. What are you keeping an eye on, Mitch?
I'm just keeping an eye that Vitality don't play H2K, so I don't get confused even more when kissing a split.
I'm looking at Fnatic H2K because H2K right now looks like the best team.
Yeah.
I mean, they've been playing super, super smooth, and Fnatic now has been awesome. Whoa, Fnatic hype, and oh, okay, new members. So some issues to fix.
At least they hit their additional picks very well this week.
That's true.
Played a very budget comp,
Champion pool issues from day one
or
and day two.
hiding picks,
Well, H2K is
Issue.
the best right now, and with the new season comes a new Challenger Series split. Tune in next Tuesday for the EUCS qualifier finals, covered by none other than Stress and Pulse, who is
Oh, no, never
No, that's
mind.
not
Pulse.
Pulse.
That wasn't him.
Same
Yeah,
height,
we have
not same
similar
guy.
height, yeah.
Anyway, while week one is on the way out here in Berlin, tomorrow marks the opening day for the North American LCS over in Los Angeles. Things will start with a bang as TSM go up against CLG in a rematch of the 2015 Summer Split Finals. We're also going to see Cloud9 versus Immortals. We get to see Huni again.
We do get to see Huni again, and then we're going to see if the newcomers Renegades can push it to the limit against Team Liquid as the North American LCS starts off tomorrow. I was going to say continues, but it's been Europe. There's enough Europeans here.
Almost the same.
basically the same
almost
again.
the same. And I'd loved bantering with you guys, but we're going to wrap it up here. The action there in NA is going to start across the Atlantic at 9 p.m. Central European Time, noon Pacific. And for us here in Europe, it's time to call it a night. On behalf of everyone here covering the LCS, thank you for tuning in to kick off the 2016 season. And until next week, we'll see you on the Rift.
We're getting kicked off for day 2 here in Europe. Everybody get ready to rumble. Who will fall? Fox is low. Audrey's got nowhere backup, but he's got but he's done. And Diamond's going in. There goes the Lancer's fight, and Giants are staying alive inside of it all, but Audrey will melt. Shachi, everyone's going low here. Peppy will dodge away, but it's not going to be enough. It looks like the Unicorns are running rampant over the Giants. The Unicorns of Love will start off with a 2-0 in Spring. Grand challenge is issued onto Kabi, and he doesn't stand a chance. Steve picks him up. Go, Steve!
Nice! Nice! Kill Zed! Zed! Zed!
Let's go. Elements pick up their first win over Splice.
Okay, now when you need my love.
I know with the online blink.
I will try to carry Shook slacks off a bit.
Yeah. You might have to pick up here and there, but same.
Baron's down to 2,000. This is going to get close. Anika too slow. Fimvin's gone in. It's secured by Camo Shot of all people. And Vitality bounced back to beat Fnatic.
Go for tower. Rise no ulti. We can fight this. I can go over the wall here. I go.
Go dice. Kill dice.
Bro.
I'm tanking. Back.
And H2K go 2-0 in week 1. Flash away, there's no flash for Betsy. He's ghosting in, and Betsy 1v1s Perks.
I got there. Nice. Go. Okay, that's it. Yes, go. Nice.
G2 undefeated